Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, Get Loud with Leadership. I'm one of your hosts today, Michaela Cody, and I'm here with my co host,
Kennedy Washington.
and I am so excited to tell you all that we have our first guest of the show today. We are starting out with a bang. This guest is the House Representative for Louisiana's 6th District, a proud McKinley High School and Southern University alum, and the founder of our beloved Louisiana Leadership Institute, Congressman Cleo Fields. Congressman Fields, good morning, and
Good
thank
morning.
you so much for talking with us today and for all that you do for leadership.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be with you. And I'm just so excited. I actually watched your show this past weekend. I was out of the country watching your show, and I was so excited. And I said, I need to. Can I be a guest? And so I'm just so excited to be a guest on this is your second show, and I'm
This is our
excited to
second
be here.
show. I'm really excited to have you. I'm really nervous to speak because this is also the first time we are speaking in front of a live audience as well. So a fun learning experience.
Is this your first podcast?
No, it is not my first podcast, but it is the first one here at Leadership, and it's just so exciting to be with so many of the Louisiana leadership students. Earlier today we were talking about different languages. I mean, y'all are so talented here. There's one student here who knows 5 different languages, and I think she's how old is she?
10.
10 years old. 10 years old. And 5 different languages. And many of the kids here know multiple languages. And I just think that's important because when you travel abroad, it's helpful to know other languages. And we as Americans, we've just gotten too comfortable. We just expect everybody to know English, no
Yes.
matter where we travel to. And it's just it's uplifting to see so many kids here at Leadership speaking multiple languages.
Yes, sir.
So I'm so happy you brought up the people here at Leadership. Everybody I feel like is so special here and bring somebody to the table. So I wanted to ask you what propelled you to start Leadership, and how do you think the organization has impacted you?
Well, actually, I started Leadership in 1993. It was not called the Louisiana Leadership Institute at the time. It was called the Congressional Classroom. When I went to Congress, I was the youngest member of Congress. I was 29 years old, and I wanted to do something for young people in Louisiana, and so I started the Congressional Classroom. I'm happy that many members of Congress to this day now have congressional classrooms in their respective districts. And so Leadership actually started, in 93 as the Congressional Classroom. We brought, very prominent speakers here to Baton Rouge to speak with the kids. We brought, obviously, President Clinton. We brought the Vice President. We brought, General Colin Powell. And that was uplifting to students. They saw, national figures actually come to their city and talk to them. And so when I left Congress 4 years later, we ended the Congressional Classroom, and students were calling saying, hey, we want, why can't we keep the Congressional Classroom?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we decided to just rename it, the Louisiana Leadership Institute. And so that's how I was born. And it's doing well today. I mean, I get so encouraged when I come here on Saturdays and speak to these kids. Y'all keep me uplifted. Y'all keep me motivated. Y'all keep me, feeling good about what I do in Washington D.C. because in a real sense, I do it for the kids who are in this room.
Yeah, it's amazing that you're deciding to invest in the youth as well.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest hope? You've started Leadership, and we know that you want us to go on and do great things for the country and make an impact. What's your biggest hope for the country's future and our future as the youth?
Well, I mean, I have, the future of this country is great because there are programs like the Leadership Institute. I mean, like earlier today, Autumn, who is one of your students. I mean, she talked about health and how young people need to be serious about their health at a young age. I mean, listen, that's life changing stuff. And I think the future for America is great. I mean, right now, I mean, it's tough, quite frankly. On Monday, I'm returning to go back to Washington because we're facing a possible government shutdown. And we got a president of the United States of America that's refusing to meet with, the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, and refusing to meet with the Senate minority leader, Mr. Schumer. And I just think that's unconscionable, to say the least. But at the end of the day, the future is what we make it.
Yes, sir.
Our future is not going to be based on one man
Right.
or one person. Our future is going to be based on like what you all do here. And it's beyond Saturdays, y'all got a lot of things going on here. And I just want to encourage y'all to keep doing it.
So you said, like, you mentioned how being in America right now, it's tough right now. And I think everybody, like, across the board could agree with that, no matter where you stand in the political aisle. But like, as a minority specifically, because leadership is a predominantly Black organization. And so how do you navigate being a minority in today's political climate? And how do you think that affects your role as congressman?
Well, I mean, first of all, I thank God for so many people who came before me, because it didn't just happen overnight. There's so many people like Dr. King, Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, Sojourner Truth. So many people who came before me and fought so hard, and many of them died. Many of them gave their lives so that a person like me could have an opportunity to serve in Congress, and I'm not unmindful of that. And so every day I walk into Congress, I realize what a privilege it is, and how many people's shoulders I actually stand on. There's so many people who have sacrificed, for me to be in Congress, and people who look like me. Right now, we have over 65, I think, African American members of Congress. We are the largest caucus in the Congress. That's because of a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears of so many people. And now they're trying to change that. On October the 15th, I'll be in the Supreme Court because the district here in Louisiana has been challenged. There are folk who think that we shouldn't have two minority seats, and they're fighting it in court, and the Supreme Court will hear the case for yet a second time on the 15th of next month. But I say to people, just always be encouraged, man, because we are better when we work harder and just be focused. And the last point I want to make on that is, if you tell me I have to run faster to be a member of Congress, I could probably do that. If you tell me I have to jump higher to be a member of Congress, I could probably do that. But if you tell me I got to be white, then there's nothing I can do about that. And that's where I need a little help from my government.
Right.
And that's why we have these seats, because not a single African American was ever elected to Congress from a majority white seat. And one day we're going to get better as a nation, as a state. But right now we're not there, and we just got to keep to preserve these minority seats.
I know, like, for me personally, hearing that was like really inspiring, because I'm now not, well, I don't know if I'm at a predominantly white school now. I'm at Baton Rouge High right now, but it's very diverse anyway. But I used to go to St. Joseph's Academy, which was predominantly white, and I constantly felt like I had to compete with all the people around me just to like get half of what they did. And at some point I felt like I wasn't doing enough and that like these people were just better than me by far. And it wasn't until I got out of that environment and made space for myself now at Baton Rouge High that I see like I was just as good as some of the people over at SJ. I just needed to be in the right environment to do that. And I needed to kind of make a way for myself almost and not just let people give things to me, not just let it happen. I needed to, sometimes you need to kind of like push your way into the circles you want to be in, I feel like.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is you are special. Every person in this room is special, and you know, the leadership teach you self-esteem. You know, no matter what circumstance you're in, no matter what condition you find yourself in, you're very special, and you got to believe that. And I think the students in this room believe that they're special, right? And they're very special, and we got to always feel that way. When I walk into the U.S. Congress, it's a special place. Very hard, very rigorous debates, but it's a very special place, and it's a very special to me because so few people like me have had the opportunity to serve in that body, particularly from Louisiana.
That's part of the reason why I feel like I love leadership. I feel like both Kennedy and I can speak to that because we were both recently elected as leadership officers. Kennedy was elected to the role of vice president, and I was elected to the role of secretary. And so I feel like that's what I love. Something that leadership does was you can see people who look like you serve in these leadership roles, and it's all the positions. So you can do this, you can be this, and you don't have to constantly like struggle to like imagine yourself in these roles of power. You can say, well, these people before me have done it and I can do it a new way. I can do it my way, but it's possible still.
And y'all awesome. Week before last, I think y'all had elections, and we had real voting machines. But I'm talking about real elections. Those elections here are tough for me because the kids the students, the leaders get so involved in their elections, and they really go out of their way, and they really campaign, and the way it works is one person will win, and but the others will not lose. They win because of the experience. I learned so much from all of the student government leaders, the folk who run for office here. Chedrick, he always tell me, I may be pronouncing his name wrong today. Chadwin. I mean, he is awesome. I mean, a kid can speak, and he was one of the candidates. There was several just quality. All of the candidates were so quality, and I think y'all do a great job here at the Institute, and I want y'all to continue to do what y'all do.
Yes, sir.
Now, where are your questions?
Oh, I do have a few questions, actually. So, as someone who has ran previously in the past and lost, what advice would you give to leadership students that do end up running but then lose the election?
Yeah, well, it's not a loss. I mean, Benjamin May said it best. The calamity of life is not failing to reach your dreams. The calamity of life is having no dreams to reach far. Low
I like
aim,
that.
low aim is the sin, not failure. At the end of the day, most people they see me, as a member of Congress, and they say, oh, he's a big member of Congress, but they don't know the first time I ran for Congress, I lost.
Right.
I ran for Congress against a gentleman by the name of Clyde Holloway, and it really proves the point that we need a Voting Rights Act in America, particularly in Louisiana. I lost that race. It was a majority white congressional district, but I ran because, I felt it was time to serve. And I ran for governor of the state, and I lost. But at the end of the day, it didn't make me bitter. It made me better. I mean, I'm the guy who, was taken out of Congress, in 1997 and sat on the sideline for 28 years and then returned to Congress, because of my belief and my faith in God. I knew that, that wasn't a time, but now is the time, and I just had that belief. And that's what I try to instill in the leadership students, at first, if you don't succeed, try again. And if you don't succeed the second time, try again and again and again. I mean, there's no secret weapon for winning the first time. It's about sometimes God tests your patience. Sometimes He want to know if you really want it. Do you really, really want it? And then other times, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this. If you ever want to give the Lord a big laugh, plan what you gonna do in the future. Sometimes we plan things that He just that's just not in His plan. And it takes us a little time to accept that. I wanted to be president.
You still want to be president?
No.
Why? What do you mean?
No, but I wanted to be president of the United States of America when I grew up. That was my big passion, but it became my passion with a laugh. Sixth grade, first day of school, stand up, state your name, what you want to be in the future. I wanted to be a police officer. I mean, all through elementary school, I wanted to be a police officer. Other kids wanted to be a fireman. And when my turn came around, I was, my last name starts with an F. So it's few kids before me. And they were saying doctor, lawyer, engineer, school teacher, principal. And I was like, man, I'm going to sound like a little geek if I say I want to be a police officer. So when, I just wanted to say something big. And I wanted to say something bigger than everybody else before me. And I don't know where president came from, but I said, my name is Cleo Fields, and I want to be president of the United States of America when I grow up. And everybody laughed, including the teacher. And I took that, I used that as inspiration. I went home. We didn't have internet and all that. I got an encyclopedia and I turned to president. And I wanted to know what does it take? What does it take? What will it take to be president? And most modern day presidents went to law school. That's what drove me to go to law school. Most modern day presidents, they ended up in the Congress. That's what drove me to run for Congress. Most modern day presidents, they came from either the governor's mansion or from the U.S. Ran for governor, and so I was on that path. But just shoot high. I mean, and high can be whatever you want to be. It can be an artist.
I love that part of leadership, because we're encouraged to do anything we want to be here. You could go for president, but that's not all you can go for. You can be an artist, you can be an athlete, you can be a doctor, and there are programs in place everywhere, so that we have the dance program for our dancers, we have the band for the music lovers, and we also have music production for the music lovers. I'm part of that class, and I enjoy it so much because music is something I really enjoyed as a child, and it's something that I wanted to do professionally, but I was laughed when I told people oh, I want to be a musician when I grow up and I want to do this. And I feel being in leadership gives you the confidence to say that loudly, and nobody's going to laugh at you because everybody has big dreams here. And everybody's been that person that's been laughed at here. So
and it's also really motivational to be around other like-minded people who have goals and have ambition, and everything like that. So I also feel being here, it pushes you to want to do better, to want to meet that standard as well.
So you can't do anything alone. And I'm like a firm believer of that. And I think leadership is a great example of how like we have this community around us who uplift us and support us so we can have all these opportunities. So I wanted to ask you, who would you say like are your biggest supporters in not only your career, but just in life in general?
Well, I mean, obviously, my number one supporter was my mother, who passed about 4 years ago. She was like, because my mom and dad, they had 10 children, and I'm number 7 of 10. And my dad died when I was 5, and so I was raised by my mother. All of us. We were actually my youngest brother, Wilson, who's now a judge. My mom was pregnant when my dad died with him. So Wilson literally never met his father. And that's why we so close, I guess, because I mean, here's a kid who, and he was in the hospital for a long time when, because my mom was struggling when my dad died. She was pregnant with him, and it was just a hard time in her life. And so Wilson was in intensive care for several months when he was born, and so just the inspiration for me was my mother. I saw a woman who worked 3 jobs, and at the end of the day, she was still poor to take care of her children, and for a small period of time, my mom, she qualified for what we called back then, we call it SNAP today, but food stamps. And we had commodity cheese and those big cans of syrup, but that was a way that we survived. I mean, it was real survival for us. We were homeless, after my dad died, several months later, we were kicked out of the house because my mom couldn't keep up with, paying that mortgage. And we had to go and live with my grandmother for a period of 6 months. And can you imagine 10 children, living with, somebody? I mean, it was tough. So I tell kids, no matter your circumstance, you can be whatever you want to be, and when I tell them that, I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah.
I know what it feels like to not have your own bedroom. I know what it feels like, to not have, to only wear your brother's hand-me-downs. I know what all that feels like. But just because you come up by way of the rough side of the mountain doesn't mean that you can't reach the top. Doesn't mean, that you can't finish the race. You just gotta work hard and be focused. And that's why I enjoy meeting with you all so much, because y'all are just y'all give me so much encouragement.
That's good. That makes me happy.
Same. Like I feel like sometimes like for kids it's like we get all these things from adults, and so it's like it sometimes feels like, I don't know if it feels like this for you, but it feels like we're almost like constantly in debt towards these people who are like just giving and giving and giving to us. So it's really nice when like they tell us like they're learning things from us and they get things from us too. So I appreciate you for saying that.
Yep, it was my mother. Y'all gonna take some questions from your classmates at some point?
Yes.
We are. Are you guys ready? I hope so. So do we want to do that now? Do we want to? Okay.
Let's do it.
Who has questions? Come on, y'all.
But
Oh, Chandler. All right. Here's another member of our podcast team.
Hey, Galopos. I want to ask you, do you feel like Louisiana is in a right state right now?
is Louisiana in a right state?
In your eyes?
Louisiana. Look, I'm very proud of Louisiana. Louisiana is a state that has a very colorful history, quite frankly. I mean, Plessy v. Ferguson, separate but equal, actually came out of the state of Louisiana. The Supreme Court case that's going to be scheduled on the 15th of October is out of Louisiana. But Louisiana is what we make it. And I'm just an optimistic person. I believe that I always see the glass half full versus half empty.
Yes, sir.
Even with the national, things that are going on with the president, I mean, if we have to be optimistic, because if we're not, then what's the point? You know,
Right.
I think Louisiana is a great state. I think Louisiana can get a lot better, and I think the people in this room will make Louisiana a lot better. So we just have to be, we have to be focused. Like when you talked about your experience at, the
St. Joseph's.
yeah, St. Joseph. I mean, and now you're at
Baton Rouge High.
Baton Rouge High. I mean, you had the choice of saying, I'm just not going to go to school. I'm just going to drop out. I'm just tired. But you kept pressing, and now you feel like you're in a better space.
Definitely.
Listen, that's what we all have to do, and we are Louisiana, and we have to make Louisiana what we want to make it.
Is there any way we can make our community better?
Oh,
It is.
absolutely. Can we make our community better? That's a very good question. And the answer to that is yes. That's why I spend, every Saturday of my life that I can here, because I think, I didn't have that when I was growing up. When I was growing up, I didn't have, somebody who reached back and gave me opportunities. One of the most disappointing things I've had done as a state senator to me was when I appropriated monies in the budget 20 years ago, maybe longer, 30 years ago, to purchase Louisiana Leadership a bus, and legislators got real upset with me. But we buy buses for prisoners, and many of my colleagues said, well, man, you might not want to do that again. And I did it again and again and again, because I mean, look, we can talk about the youth or the future,
Right.
but we got to really put our money where our mouth is. I mean, we got to really support our young people. And I try to do that. Do I do enough? I don't know. I think I can do more. I hope I can do more. I try to do more, but I know I'm doing something, and that's why if you come to Washington D.C., you're going to see a bunch of young people, working in my congressional office. You come to the Baton Rouge office, to a bunch of young people, because we gotta help young people and pass that torch as often as we can and as much as we can, and inspire them.
Thank you.
So I know we were doing class questions. I had one more
Yes,
question,
ma'am.
though. Was there like a specific issue that propelled you to go into politics, and is there a specific issue that you are really honing in on right now?
Oh, education. I mean, and I'm not on the education committee, and when I got back to Congress, the first thing they do, steering and policy, they meet with you, and you have to tell them what committees you wish to serve on, and then they try to work it out. And obviously, I wanted to be on appropriations because, that's where the money is. But couldn't get on appropriations. Ended up on financial services. But my passion is education. And my passion is education because that is the great, equalizer. When our kids are educated, they tend to do better. And when they tend to do better, they tend not to build more jails and prisons, and then society is better. That's why when I was in Louisiana, I made kindergarten mandatory, because kids entering formal education in the first grade for the first time, to me, is unconscionable. So kindergarten had to be mandatory. Now it is. In Washington, I'm working to make pre-K universal, so every parent will have access to early childhood education.
Right.
If you want to change this country, change the way we educate our children or when we educate our children. If you really want to impact this country, make sure that every child has access to early childhood education, from 2 years of age. Actually, if we can start earlier, start earlier, because that is impactful. When kids get that early start in life, they tend to do a whole lot better. So that is like my passion. That is my issue. Um, and you don't have to be on education to be an education advocate. Uh, Two of my bills are targeted at education. I want to forgive student loans for teachers who graduate and practice their profession in the country for 8 years, forgive their student loans. Just teachers are a dying breed. And if, in a not too distant future, if we don't change the way we're doing our business, we won't have anybody to educate our children. So we got to make that a priority. And I'm trying to make pre-K accessible to every single student in America, because I think that's a game changer. Now, a lot of people, they say, well, that costs too much, Cleo. That just costs too much. Yes, it does cost a lot of money, but does it? Because we're going to spend the money either on the backside or we're going to spend it on the front side. And I far rather spend the money on the front side because that's investing in children. And then we're going to save a lot of money on the backside because we won't have to build as many jails and prisons because kids will be, kids don't want to be where they don't feel comfortable.
Yes.
Right.
And kids, you want to make a kid feel uncomfortable, put him in the third grade and then give him a reading test, and he had no early childhood education and he's reading below level. And then the kid, he feels like he don't belong there. And then that's a vicious cycle of kids not liking school. They then are disruptive, and then they drop out at some point, and then they become a menace to society. That's not the kid's fault. That's our fault.
Yeah.
We made the mistake of not investing in him or her at an early age. America would be so much greater if we invested in early childhood education. That's the game changer. These kids here. I mean, this young lady, Reagan, who speaks Spanish. I mean, these kids are just amazing. But she's exposed to early childhood education. And kids, I can tell the kids who've been exposed to early childhood education and those kids who have not been exposed. And that's what bothers me the most is they're kids who don't have that opportunity, and a government who has the resources to provide it for them, but is not. But let them commit a crime, we will give them a prison cell. But we will not give them an early slot for early childhood education.
And I feel like that's just so important because, like, I know for me, when I was little, I had like some pre-K. It was really just daycare, but I knew like the alphabet, basic things like that. But when I got into kindergarten, I was in a gifted class, but I felt like everybody could like read certain words I couldn't read yet. My teacher had to like literally teach me how to write like the most basic things. And I felt like I don't belong here and that this just isn't my thing. But my teacher was, and I'll forever remember her, Miss Johnson. She worked with me and worked with me and worked with me. And now I can say I love school. I have a 4.6 GPA. I have all A's. And that's because I had all of this help from the teachers and from my school when I was younger so that I could actually build a foundation for enjoying learning and being at school. So I love that you're trying to get a move on early childhood education.
So what's your story in what's your grade point average?
Why
since
are you
she
putting me on the spot
because she
like
just
this?
she just threw it out there and
Well,
just
I have a 4.2 GPA, so
good.
Yes, ma'am.
But GPAs, I was an average student. I did better in college than I did in high school.
mhm.
And because I had so many distractions in middle school and high school, and they were personal distractions. They weren't like parties, anything like that. It was, when you're from a family of 10, you have a lot of
Yeah.
distractions. But I was an average student, and like I try to tell kids here, be the best, make an A. If you make a C, tell yourself you should make a B. You make a B, tell yourself you should make an A plus. So we have always had that type of mentality. But at the end of the day, any student who's going to school and presenting him or herself every day, no matter their grade, be it an average grade, be it an A, if they are doing their best, then look, that's all I can expect from a student.
Yeah.
All flowers don't bloom at the same time. Y'all are very fortunate, very blessed to be doing very well. There was a kid today who talked about her ACT score, 22, I think, and she's a sophomore. What is she? I don't
Freshman.
freshman. I mean, remarkable. The kids do well, but I want kids to know, your best is all we want. As long as you do your best.
Right.
And I did my best in middle school, high school. I was great in elementary school, but middle school, high school, I was an average student. And in college, I started doing pretty well. Law school did well. But all flowers don't bloom at the same time. But at every stage, I did my best. Did my best.
That's all that matters.
Yes. We had that conversation last week when we were talking about school, just like how much pressure it can put on you sometimes,
Yeah.
and how you just have to like acknowledge that sometimes your 90% is going to be the best you can give at that time, and sometimes like your 50%, that's going to be the best you can give at that time. And it's all about not pushing yourself to be your best, but not overexerting yourself necessarily to try and compete with somebody that you're not.
And sometimes those can just be hints that you need to improve on something, or
Yeah.
there's more that you could learn. You know what I mean? So it's never a loss. Your best is always going to be the best.
Your best is your best.
Yes.
I mean, no matter what that is, your best is your best.
Your best is
Any
your
other
best.
questions from members of the?
Another one from
Uh,
Chandler.
So again, like Michaela Cody said, last week we was talking about testing and also study habits from other students, and I want to get your thoughts on it about like our current day testing. Like a lot of people aren't like standardized testers. So what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm not a good tester. I don't take tests well, and I mean, but it's I tell students all the time, it's here, it's the reality. We got to do it. We got to prepare for them. I think our educational system, we have now gotten our teachers to basically teach to the test. I mean, accountability is here, is real. How I feel about testing, I'm not anti-test, but I like to look at the overall kid. I'm more into, what's his overall performance, not the test. When I finished law school, in order to become a lawyer, you have to take a test. You got to take a bar exam. And let me just tell you, I mean, I would tell, and people say he's just saying that because you don't want to take that bar exam. But when I was in law school, I would tell my classmates, I'm not here to practice law. I'm here to make the law.
Right.
And I was serious about that. And they was like, you better go take that bar. And I went to take the bar because the first time I registered for the bar, I was running for office. And so I failed the bar the first time. I mean, I literally failed the bar. And it was depressing. I was like, golly, I failed the bar. And then I took it again. And then the governor decided to call a special session in the middle of when I was supposed to take the bar exam. And I went the first day, I finished the exam. And the second day I walked out, I said, I can't handle this. And so obviously I failed it again, so I failed the bar twice. Now, if you read, people say Cleo failed the bar 6 years. I mean, 6 times because they were counting the years. I just didn't take it anymore. And it wasn't until, let me just tell you how people can have an inspiration on you. It wasn't until, people can mean it for good, bad, evil, and God can mean it for good. It wasn't until they took away the congressional district, because I was the youngest member of Congress at that time. People were saying you'd be the first black speaker of the House. I mean, and they took the seat, and President Clinton offered me to be senior advisor to the president. And I wanted to talk to General Colin Powell. So I went to his house and I said, General, the president just offered me a position. It's senior advisor to the president. I was over empowerment zones, and I was going to be making $165,000 a year. And a member of Congress was making 133. So it was also a salary increase. And I thought General Powell would tell me, yeah, I'm happy for you, son. Go do it. He called me soldier. I'm happy for you, soldier. Go do it. General Powell told me, he said, don't you have a young son? You have a family. He said, go home. Go. And he didn't know I hadn't passed the bar. He said, you're a lawyer, right? And I said, yeah, kind of, sort of. He said, what the world does that mean? He used another term. What the world does that mean, soldier? And I said, well, I finished law school, but I haven't passed the bar yet. And General Powell said, go home, take the bar, and take care of your family. And it was the absolute best advice I ever had. Now, it's just something about, I'm not a good test taker, but it was just something about, I came back home and I focused in, and I ended up passing the bar after being away from, law for 11 years, and I came back and passed the bar and did pretty well as a lawyer, I'm not a good test taker. And I know a lot of people who are, and I know a lot of people who are not. But it's nothing we can do about it. We just have to take them. And that's what I tell students, like the exit exam, the, LEAP exam. Take them. ACT, take them.
ACT.
But that's my story on exams.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the class? Ooh. Can we get Charlie first, and then I'll come to you, Earl?
My question is, how is it to be at the Capitol? Are you experiencing any racism from Donald Trump or the other people?
Well, I mean, how do I put it? Do I experience? Well, first of all, as a member of Congress, I don't interact with President Trump often. The way I interact with the president is mostly by email. I send him letters, and I get a response. But that's mostly how we communicate. I don't like President Trump's policies. His policies, in my view, are divisive. They hurt innocent people. There are a lot of things that are taking place in this nation today that I don't like, that I fight against. I don't like the fact that he has clawed back billions upon billions of dollars from higher education. I don't like the fact that he ended DEI as we know it today, because who does that? What's wrong with diversity, equity, and inclusion? Those are good words, not bad words. And I'm happy to announce I'm a member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Caucus. In fact, I am the founder of it, as a result of President Trump, telling companies and businesses, if you have a diversity, equity, or the inclusion program, you're not gonna do business with the federal government. Now, this president has been very divisive, and shame on him. Even telling the governor of Texas, I need 5 more Republicans to go redistrict your state. Who does that? I mean, who stands up at the UN and talk about other countries like they're, dirt? Who invites a president of another nation to the White House and then embarrass him in front of the national media? Look, the good thing about it all, and I tell people, we just got to be patient. President Trump won't be president forever. He's going to be president for 3 more years. And we got to hold on and hold out. And hopefully the Supreme Court will knock down just about all of his executive orders because they're unconstitutional. If President Trump had his way, people like me would not even be necessary. He wished that he had a country where there is no need for Congress. There's no need for oversight. That he would be the king and he would have everybody bowing to him. Now, to answer your question more precisely about racism, do I face racism in Congress? Racism will exist as long as people exist. Some people are going to have a problem with me because I'm black. There's nothing I can do about that. And they should get over it, I just think that people like you and people like me, we just got to make America better. We got to make it better by not judging people based on their color, but judging them based on who they are, And we got to keep that belief that Dr. King, spoke about. We got to keep it.
So
Thank you.
To add on to your response, so leadership, I know it's an organization that's surely going to change the way the politics happen in the future because we're all going to have an influence on it. On the flip side, though, you mentioned that the current president will be out in 3 years and hopefully the Supreme Court will reverse that. How do you feel his impact will last on America?
I think his
though?
impact is going to be, we got a lot of cleaning up to do, quite frankly, as a nation. It's not just America. The damage and the harm that he's causing us on the international stage is some countries, for example, have always been our strongest allies and have always been our best friends. And when Americans would come, they would open their doors and because of the way the present president has treated many of our closest allies, many of them don't feel as warm as they used to feel about us. And that's going to be the biggest challenge for the new president. The new president is going to have to reestablish relationships, with countries that we have always viewed as allies and friends. For those of us who travel abroad, you can feel it when you travel now. You could feel it when you get off the plane in another country. You could feel the resentment. And so whomever is elected president after President Trump, that's going to be one of their biggest challenges. Domestically, we going to be all right. We gonna be all right. He's messing up a whole lot of stuff here, and that's for sure. And that's because we have allowed him. We meaning Congress, because a lot of things that he has done, he really didn't have the authority to do. and we have, just given him carte blanche authority to do whatever he wants to do. But the real challenge for the next president of this country is going to be to re-establish those relationships we had all over the world, because I mean, we're a very strong military.
Yep.
But I mean, he talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion is a bad thing. But let me just tell you, when we diversified our military, we became the most fierce fighting force in the world, second to none. But that's enough about the president.
Earl, can we get your question now? We got Mr.
I
President.
thought I was going to
coming
be
up
talking
here.
about local stuff. Y'all got me like, I'm on a national show here. Yes, sir.
My question is, what are some qualities and characteristics you believe every leader should have?
Well, I think, first of all, every leader should, first of all, not present themselves as a perfect person. And I think that's one of the challenges most of us have. We feel like when we present ourselves, we are perfect, and we got to be, that's why so many people in politics fail, because they talk a perfect game and not realize that there are no perfect people. A good leader realizes his weaknesses, and he tries to surround him or herself with people who are strong in those areas.
Yes.
That's what I try to do. I try to just, I'm far from perfect. I'm far from being good at everything. But I try to surround myself with people who are good at many things, who could really support, my vision and my mission. So that's the first thing. I think leaders need to people who. What makes a good leader is a person who's not afraid to make a mistake, and surround him or herself with people of different expertise and understand his or her weaknesses. And I understand mine, but I got some very good people around me who can prop me up where I'm weak.
So, do you believe leaders are made or born?
Both. I mean, there's a lot of people say leaders are not made, they're born. Some say they're born, not made. I say both. I was born in a shotgun house. Throw a rock in the front door, in the back door. No, it's both. I mean, it's leaders are made and they're born. I mean, leaders I think they're more made than born. I think your circumstances, your commitments, your behavior, your actions, that's what makes you a leader. Some of it comes naturally, like anything else. Like Autumn, she's naturally talented singer. I mean, she's just natural. And then other things you gotta work at. Like y'all are very articulate. And very good leaders. But y'all gotta keep working at it. It's a constant. It's a constant evolution in this leadership. I mean, you may be a leader but you know what makes the best leader? A good follower,
Definitely.
because a good leader can always just follow. I hope
sir.
that answered your question.
Yes, sir. It did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And congratulations also. All right, we got a few more minutes. I'm going to register some people to vote at the Jackson State Southern University football game today. If y'all come by the tailgate, I want y'all to stop by. I got some new fans that they just got. I think there's a song called Boots on the Ground. Yeah, I got some fans that make that noise.
Okay, hi, my name is Summer, and my question is, how can we as the youth like get more involved in politics and use our voice to make changes?
Yeah, I think this is a good start. I mean, I was listening to a bunch of your classmates a couple of Saturdays ago. They were like, "We tired of just coming in here in speeches. We want to do this, want to do that." No, this is a good start. This is a good start, and y'all have elected your leadership now. I think y'all need to just get out and just explore, go places, do things, get to know other people. And one of the things that we should do here at leadership is we should get to know each other first before we get on that bus to go anywhere. We should just know everybody's name, and that might sound so trivial, but it really makes a difference, but that would be my take on it. But I think y'all have such an amazing group of young people here, and they do such amazing good work. And one of the things I would want to do is to get a group to come to Washington, D.C., for example. I know the officers are coming, but I want to expand that. And not on a bus trip, but just fly up there and just I want y'all to come and spend, maybe a couple of days with me and just see me do what we do. And not see me, I shouldn't have said it that way. Just see Congress work, or not work. But that would be good for all of you, and we want to work that out real soon, where we can just fly everybody up and just get, because it just makes a difference, opens up your mind. First time I flew out of Baton Rouge was when I was a student body president at Southern. That's the first time I flew on a plane. I mean, first time I left the city of Baton Rouge, where this area was when I was a freshman class president at Southern. I don't want you to have any of these students to have that impediment, because your mind just opens up when you see, when I first saw the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol in person, I almost lost my mind, I mean, it's like, I'm here, and I just think that we should be exposed earlier, sooner. And I think it had an impact on me, and I know it will have an impact on everybody in here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Oh, do we have time for
5
one
more
question?
minutes.
Can you make it quick? Come on up, Brooklyn.
Good morning, Congressman Fields. My
Good
name is
morning.
Brooklyn, and my question is, as a man of a minority, how do you function in a place where it's other majority, like races, like white, or we're just gonna go with white for now.
Well, first of all, every member of Congress, let me not say every member, most members of Congress by far are not racist. And I don't face it in that sense every day. But I think I face it more where I'm gonna vote to do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, you may say that's racist, and but they have nice suits on, and they say, I want to do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion. and those kind of issues I face. And for people who do it because they are racist, God bless them, because there's nothing I can do about that. For those people who do it because they just really feel it's a bad policy, I try to articulate to them how it's a good policy, but I'm very slow to call a person a racist, because that's an easy thing to do. I just try to just debate the policies and debate them the way I see it. And I'm not always right. Of course, none of us are always right, but at the end of the day, I just try to do the best I can with the knowledge I have, and hopefully they're doing the same thing. But we got 435 men and women in Congress, and very diverse views. People feel very strongly about what they believe in. Some people do it for other reasons. We just, I just take it day by day and just try to do the best I can.
And I had one other question.
Yes.
How or what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into politics early in their life, and how early should they start?
I would say start now and be a part of leadership, and be not, when I say be a part of leadership, be a real participant in leadership, because this program can really help you in that respect. And also be involved in your student government at school, your student council. Leadership shouldn't be the only thing you're involved in. You should be involved in student government, be involved in here, be involved in your church. And let me just tell you, it'll all work out. It'll all work out, and it'll work out fine. And thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank you all for your questions. And thank you, Congressman Fields, both for being here to talk with us today, and also just for all that you and Mrs. Fields do for leadership. And I loved that all of you guys' questions and our questions tied into some really good topics that I feel like are some good takeaways from this meeting. Like, a lot of you guys mentioned, how can you get more involved? If you want to see the change, be the change. And we also mentioned like how it could be hard in some spaces where you feel like a minority and you feel like you're not heard. And I just want to say, and I feel like what you spoke to also speaks to this point, like make space for yourself in the places that you want to be in. And I feel like you're such a good role model at doing that. So thank you for all that you do for us. And thank you.
Thank you all, and thank the cameramen.
Thank
We
you,
got camera
cameraman.
people here. Look at, and thanks to hosts. And we're starting a TV show, I understand. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys next Saturday.
All right.